Hello, guys. We know that you're looking for us, and here we are again with my story, Very Normal People. And today we have Michael Seaver. He is a writer of a book which says, I know. Now, let's ask him. Welcome, Michael.
Hi, Arthur. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. And please, uh, can you introduce yourself to the audience? Who is Michael?
um, this my story is a very normal story, I think, in many ways. And so I was born and raised in a small West Michigan town of 2,500 people, and I worked in my family's landscaping and lawn maintenance business from age 12 until 24. And during those years, it was always one of those things that I felt really challenged by, like being a robot in the business. So in 2003, I got married and moved to Phoenix and worked in the hospitality industry for I think 4 or 5 years. And then in 2008, was able to start a master's degree at the Thunderbird School of Global Management. And that's when I first really thought about or really was interested by coaching. So as a second year student, I got to coach first year students, and that was really meaningful for me. So in 2010, I started a role at a not for profit healthcare system where I was able to work as the director of talent sourcing, but I really wasn't doing a lot of coaching. And I felt a little bit disconnected, right? I felt like a robot again inside that business, the same way that I had all those years ago working in my family's business. So I decided to start my coaching practice and left that full time job. But I decided to also teach classes at a local university and did some coaching at a different local university to kind of help build the brand of who I am in my business. And so in 2013, I was given a couple of awards. In 2015, I was able to make the transition to do my business full time. In 2016, I joined the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters, and that was really meaningful for me. And over the last couple of years, what I've been really heavily focused on is executive coaching and team training and finding ways to help people become really authentic versions of themselves. And so, right now, I've got different types of executive coaching programs. There's various ways that I help organizations. Just like you mentioned a second ago, Arthur, of course, there's the book. I've got online courses on my website. There's lots of media mentions. I have a podcast of my own that I facilitate. And my work is really to help unlock human potential, right? I value authenticity deeply. So I want to create as many opportunities as possible for people to feel uplifted and for people to live their most authentic life. So thank you for letting me share a bit of my story, and let's find a way to help as many people as possible become their most authentic selves.
Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing that with us because it's always a pleasure to hear people who want to help other people because people now have passing of days and years and so on, so people become more selfish. But okay, let's go to your book. You have you have the title for that, a very special title to say the truth. I know. So please tell us, what do you know?
so yeah, the title of the book is I Know, and I'll give you a little bit of a background on it, Arthur. Is that
Yes.
for years I had been told by clients and friends that I needed to write a book and tell my story, but I guess I just didn't feel comfortable to do it. So in May of 2019, I actually saw a psychic. Right, I was going through some pretty tough stuff in my life, so I saw a psychic, and she told me that I needed to finish the book by September 30th. And I thought at the time she was being kind of silly because it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But like I said, for a while, I've known that I've needed to write it, but I didn't have the confidence, or I didn't believe that my story mattered, or I was just too scared to do it. So in March of 2020, when the stay-at-home orders started around things with regards to COVID and coronavirus, I decided that it was really time to dive into writing the story. And so I found actually a writing coach found me. So I began working with the writing coach and thought about it for a couple of days, sat in meditation, and I was like, okay, I think I can do this. And so we decided to make an investment into a new website. So I've got a new website that helps to explain the book and explains me a little bit more. And I just made time in the summer of 2020 to kind of look over my journey and look over my clients' journeys and think about the processes that I utilize to help them. And I really wanted to find a way to share some of those client stories. And so I finally feel like, humanity is at a place where they're ready for the message in the book. Like we could finally talk about it. So the book I Know is a reminder that every single person, I want them to feel empowered to transition from believing life's answers
Mm.
come from outside themselves and knowing that they have the answers inside
Inside.
themselves, right? So I want everybody to say, I know, but not about Michael or Arthur knowing, but really
Mhm.
about that person knowing in their heart of hearts that they have the answers inside themselves. So I've got a lot of research in the book. I've got a lot of client stories. Of course, I have my own personal story, but the book is really 9 processes. When you start at the front of the book, it's helping you understand how do you walk step by step by step to go from being unhappy or being disengaged or being just not really liking your job, right? Something like that at the very
Mhm.
beginning, and moving all the way through the book to really being happy and engaged and loving your life and knowing that you can trust yourself to make all of these awesome decisions. So my hope is that people at the end of the book know in their heart of hearts that they have the answers inside of them.
Right. So, can you tell us a little bit about, because especially the writers, when they write things, their life is changed, and I hope your life was changed as well while you write, because you take stuff from yourself and you correct yourself while you do that. So, can you please tell us, how did your life change?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. The cover of the book has a phoenix bird rising at the very bottom on purpose, right? Because I think that really is a good symbol.
Mhm.
And there's also a man that's just beginning to stand up at the top of the book because I wanted it to metaphorically symbolize for each person who's looking at the material on the front of the book or reading it that they're about ready to rise from their own ashes. And I
Mhm.
don't think it's circumstance or happenstance that I live in Phoenix, Arizona today, or that I got an MBA from the Thunderbird School of Global Management. And in Native American history, the Thunderbird is a different derivation of the Phoenix. And so I've had all of these little things in my life that have happened. So as I was going through all of these changes, the thing that after I was really sitting down and beginning to think about the book, there were kind of three main things that I thought through and said,
Mhm.
what is it that I have done recently that has really contributed most to me really living the book and living by example? And the first one for me was spending more time in meditation or prayer or time in nature and just really
Mhm.
slowing down. Because I was in this place where my body just felt out of sorts, right? I didn't feel quite right. And I was allowed to kind of slow down and release some of those old habits and old friendships and old routines that really weren't serving me very well.
Mhm.
So making the change to slow down and not take so much action and to spend a little bit more time in nature or meditation with myself, that was a big change that I had to make in order to make the book really make sense to me. The second thing is and maybe you see this too, Arthur, is that people in Western nations, they think that being busy is a badge of honor, right? They always want to be really, 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 really busy.
I know.
And in my experience with working with people all across the globe, like being busy is not a badge of honor and it doesn't make you successful, right?
Right.
It just doesn't contribute to that. So what I learned, a big change that I had to go through was I had to stop trying to force specific outcomes to happen. And I needed to just slow down and start to spend more time with people who really fit my future, not my past, if you will.
Mhm.
Right. That was really important to me. And the third thing I think that really helped me to move to where I'm at today was I decided to try new experiences that I had never had before. And I went on a yoga retreat in Costa Rica. I had invested in an energy healer and a Reiki master, someone that could kind of serve as a therapist and a counselor for me.
Mhm.
I instead of working with 20 clients at the same time, I decided to focus on one big client. I started to hike and play golf again. So I moved into a place where I was starting to do things that I really wasn't comfortable doing, or they were different from what they were even 6 months before.
Mhm.
And what it really reminded me was that words don't teach, right? Experiences do.
Right.
And we have to have those experiences. And that all through all of those changes that I was going through, I had to really believe in my heart of hearts that I was going to be able to give up the good or the average or the mediocre to go for and deserve the great. And now I feel like I'm at this point in my life where I have the great, and that makes me feel awesome.
Okay. So, what can somebody uh, discover about themselves? I mean, for himself or herself in your book, what they can
Yeah.
discover there that will help people, the reader,
Yeah.
or yeah.
Yeah. There's probably a lot of different things I think that lots of different types of people will take out of it, right? Like it's a bunch of psychology research, and there's lots of stories of
Mhm.
myself and clients and 9 processes that anybody can walk themselves through. So what I think people are probably most going to get out of it is they're going to discover their most authentic self, right? They're going to know unequivocally what their personal version of
Hmm.
happiness is, right? What joy is to them or what fun is to them. I'm certified to deliver different personality inventories and assessments. So I think, people will learn a little bit about their communication style or what motivates them or what their core values are or what their professional strengths might be or, what is their unique value proposition as a leader or a business person. I think that they're also going to find clarity about what to say
Yes.
yes or no to in
Mhm.
their lives, right? Because we often get confronted by lots of tough choices. And so I'm hopeful that they find clarity when they read the book, or maybe they know how to surround themselves with people who can really appreciate them or uplift them or to help them in some way feel heard, right? Because I think it's hard in our society to feel heard and appreciated. And the latter chapters of the book are a little bit more focused on how to create teams
Mhm.
of people who are really engaged in coaching. So if they really want to learn how to coach or create an entire team of coaches, the book can also help with that too. So it
Okay.
really is about how do we become authentic and know we have the answers inside ourselves,
Mm.
but then also teach others how to do the same thing.
Okay. Okay. So, according to your experience, according to your knowledge, so can you tell us a little bit if somebody wants to change his or her life, where can he start? So he's in the
Sure.
basement. He's just playing with video games. Okay, so watching TV, popcorns. Will get a little bit plumpy. So what can he or she do to change his or her life?
Sure. Yeah, I think with the first couple of chapters of the book talk about loss and fear and emotional release,
Okay.
and they're designed that way, on purpose to kind of help anybody who's at that point of wondering what it is that they want, and they have to really think through how is it that they're going to create their future, right? What does that really look like?
Mhm.
And so the way that I try to help people understand this is to help them first think about their personal mission.
Mhm.
Okay, so if they first know what their life's mission is, or they think about their core values, those become really good ways to think clearly about what the future might be. And so, for that person who's just kind of wondering, I want them to think about this little equation that I came up with. And it is in our younger years, we seem to go through quite a few challenges. And if we can be there still enough, or maybe journal, or maybe talk to somebody,
Mhm.
we can probably find a consistent theme through the challenges. And it's in those challenges that we can ultimately define our purpose. So I want you to think about number one, think about
Mhm.
what are the challenges that you might have gone through in those younger years or maybe in your 20s. And then oftentimes, in my experience, when somebody's in their late 20s or early 30s, they find a way to overcome the challenge, right? There's some process, there's some person they meet, some
Mhm.
mentor, some coach, some job change, or they move to a new place, right? Whatever it is, and then their mission, their future often comes out of how can they now help other people overcome the exact same challenge that they had when they were younger. So when we're kind of wondering what to do next, the first thing to do is slow down, right? And
Mhm.
really think through journaling or reflection or talking to somebody to say, what was the challenge, right, that I incurred? How did I overcome the challenge in my late 20s, early 30s? And who can I now help overcome the challenge for themselves? Because inside that we can find a lot of clarity about what types of jobs to take next or what type of volunteer opportunities to take next or who to
Mhm.
spend time with in the future. So
Right.
if we know our mission or we know our core values or we know the right type of people that we want to spend time with helping, it's going to give us a lot of clarity about how to go from a place of not knowing to move to a place of knowing.
No. Yeah. Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about the influence that you have around not just your readers and your clients, but also around your community or your friends, your team, whoever is around you? How do
Sure.
you influence them?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to leading by example.
Okay.
And I was thinking about this a little bit this morning myself, in that I think when we think about influence, it's about sharing our entire journeys. And so we see oftentimes a lot on television, especially in Western countries, we see just the success that a person is having. And that can be influential in some ways, right? It can
Mhm.
be inspiring or
Yeah, it
motivating.
can inspire. Yeah.
But Yeah, but I really want people to not be afraid or shy to share some of the harder parts,
Mm.
right? And I want to be clear with people that, sometimes some of the lows that we have in life emotionally, they're some of the best learning experiences we can have. And so what I do to try to lead these individuals is to just be a great listener and to
Mhm.
not offer any judgment of anybody in any way, shape, or form, because I don't know enough about their life to be able to
Right.
offer any judgment of them.
Yeah.
And so then after we've got into dialogue or I'm helping somebody, then I share both the highs and the lows of life to remind everybody that we can learn lessons from all of those things.
Mm.
Right. And so, I tell a story in the book about a guy named Tom who I helped overcome a cocaine addiction, or I talk
Mhm.
about a woman named Crystal who she was an alcoholic for quite a while and her husband ended up committing suicide and how she worked to overcome that. Or a woman named Avni who was born in India, moved to America, and she was physically abused. And now she helps women kind of stand in their power. And I think each of those respective persons has the ability to now uplift and help a lot of other people because they can share their story powerfully and authentically in a way that is really influential. Right. So influence to me is sharing both the positive and the negative things that happen in our lives and show other people what we learn through them.
Okay. So because of the time, we have to make it a bit short. So before we finish, can you please tell us, let's say, something that motivates you every day? What is your motto in your life?
I think the thing that keeps me going every single day is that where Earth is on a precipice right now. We're on a really big change, right? Society is going through this really big change, and I want the message of authenticity to be shared as far and as wide as possible. And if you choose to read, I know that the very first chapter talks about my cat Cleopatra and how she saved my life. And so part of the thing that's motivating or fun for me, or the thing that keeps me going, is to uplift the people around me through stories. And so if you read the book, you read a little bit about Cleopatra and how she really wasn't a very affectionate or cuddly cat, but
Mhm.
that she became a really big part of me in that way, right? She helped me. And so, I really want people to stand in their authenticity, know their communication style, know what motivates them, know their core values. And the more that I see people do that and know that for themselves, the more I feel inspired to help more people, right? Because of all of the hardships and the things that I went through in my younger years, I promised myself I didn't want anybody else to go through those same things.
Mhm.
And so every time that I see another person become authentic and really love their life, that motivates me to keep going and help more people.
Thank you very much, Michael. Guys, as you see, we have changed the name. My story on the other side. So please subscribe and share our story. So till the next time, goodbye.